time now for everyone's favorite segment. Glad you're feeling better, by the way.
It's time for a good old-fashioned Q&A, MMA fans. Ladies and gentlemen, the moment has arrived
63
to hear
hot
from the
dogs
man
at the,
himself,
Nathan's
Ariel
competition.
Helwani.
Oh, yeah.
Wonder what
Live
that
from
guy's
the Box
bathroom's
Studios in beautiful New York
Who?
City.
Joey
It's
Chestnut?
On the nose.
Yeah.
That
And
guy?
now,
That's
to
what you
answer
refer
your
to him as?
Sorry, I didn't
Get
know.
out of your seats
I needed
and
a name
on your
drop.
feet
I
because
mean, he is
here
kind of a
is
legend.
Ariel Helwani.
I wonder if he would get a hookup at Puma.
No, he's not that big. By the way, speaking of which, I did see yesterday New York Rick casually dropping a picture of Kobayashi from 2010 in the midst of the whole crazy free Kobe, controversy where he tried to crash the thing. I didn't know that New York Rick ran into Kobayashi on the boardwalk in Coney Island.
I was there, baby.
Well,
I was there for the scene.
You saw the whole scene when he tried to crash?
I was right there.
Were
I was
you
right
there
there.
because you knew he was going to crash, or you just happened to be there?
No, that my wife and I just finally decided after living in New York for all these years, it was finally time to go and see it one year. So we went, and then let's say I think it was like an hour and a half before the actual competition, we just see Kobayashi walking down the boardwalk, and we and a few others kind of recognized him, and then he stopped, posed for a photo, chatted for 5 seconds, and then shuttled away. And then all hell broke loose once they started the actual competition. I still the one true king of.
I was going to say, can we get
Nathan's
into
hot
the
dog.
fact that you think the Glizzy Goat is Kobayashi and not Chestnut?
I mean, it's
undefeated.
undisputed.
Feel this is one of the greatest botches in the history of American
lost to
sports.
Joey Chestnut.
No, I think this is crazy that they did this, that they couldn't figure this out for all those years. You could have had, truly, what does America love? We love like a rivalry, like Magic and Bird, Manning and Brady. Now you had like Curry and LeBron. Like that's what we love.
Simon and Garfunkel.
Yeah, that's what we love. You had it. You had America versus Japan. You had Kobayashi versus Chestnut, and you botched it. You absolutely botched it. This could have been
I will say,
a 15-year thing.
America does also love dominance. Like I feel like Joey Chestnut has like gotten a lot of momentum, and there's a lot of
He's a
people behind
folk
him.
hero.
But
It would have been better if there was a rivalry, and he was right there.
I agree. It's risky though, because I feel like Kobayashi is the king, baby.
I don't know how you think that.
I mean, he's the what if king. He's one of the great what ifs. He's the Zabit Magomed Sharipov of competitive eating.
I guess.
He's the Tatiana Suarez of competitive eating.
He was crushing it before he
He
got
was fantastic, but like it's all in the numbers. I mean, he's winning with 44.5 dogs, 49 dogs. Chestnut's winning with 76, 73. Like
It's a different era. That's like comparing
was
the
evolving.
dude hitting home
The game
runs in
was
the
evolving.
30s, his 35 home runs to freaking Aaron Judge.
Same dogs, same Nathan dogs.
No. The
same
technology,
Bones. Stomachs are
the technology, the
Y'all are
techniques have
crazy.
changed.
Y'all are crazy. The disrespect for the American king, the real
Kobayashi put it on the map. Kobayashi is, to me,
Kobayashi, baby.
he put it on the map, and I do. I spent the whole week with those guys back in a previous life of mine when I was working production for Spike TV on Fremont Street in Las Vegas. Spent the whole week with them. Was blown away by Kobayashi. Had an aura to him. Had like a superstar aura to him.
One of the best videos of all time is Kobayashi versus the Bear, where they literally put him up against the Bear. I mean, the Bear smoked him like it was no competition, but it was still crazy that's how good people thought he was.
Yeah. Anyway, good time. Did you bet on it, by the way? Someone was asking me for a pick.
Yeah. I hit
you
him up with it.
Did you? I didn't see it.
Yeah. Mickey Sudo under 44.5 easy. I mean, she didn't even come close.
That was your pick?
39.5, yeah.
Nothing on Chestnut?
Nah, I would have taken the under, but I don't like to go against my guy like that,
Yeah.
That's your king.
Yeah,
that's your king. I would have taken the under.
Yeah.
That's your king.
I mean, the under set at like 75.5, dude. If it was Kobayashi, it'd be set at like 44.
He's in the mountains right now training. 10 years. Just come out
Still
of
doesn't get the
retirement.
call.
If he was really the GOAT, he would have figured out the
Do it.
contract disputes. Come on, man.
Yeah, and is he competing for anyone else? Like, is he like competing for the
I tried to look
AEW
into this yesterday.
Yeah.
And I think he's just like gone. I tried to look into this yesterday.
I went down
think he's
a
just,
rabbit
like,
hole.
gone.
He tried to go to like competing hot dog contests on the 4th of July. They just never got the same steam.
That's a shame.
This is great content.
Yeah, no, I think so. All right, let's go to the questions. Cheeto Pancakes is up first. What's up, Ariel? The great Eddie Hearn said he expects the Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou fight to be next, but he also said it could be an exhibition. If that ends up true, how much intrigue would be removed from that fight? Would it generate less buzz if it doesn't count against either fighter's professional record. First of all, I love the fact that Eddie's the one breaking this news when it has nothing to do with him or Matchroom. It's Tyson Fury, who's a Queensberry guy / top rank guy, and Francis Ngannou, who's kind of solo. I'm sure they all love that. You'll recall Frank Warren on Wednesday of last week told me that he's working on a game-changing announcement for Tyson Fury, and my immediate response was, is it Francis Ngannou? Because there's nothing in boxing that would be game-changing, right? If it's him versus Joshua, if it's him versus Usyk, if it's him versus anyone, that's not game-changing. But the Ngannou fight, to me, is game-changing because it's the lineal boxing heavyweight champion against a lineal MMA heavyweight champion. That's game-changing. To the question, and I tried to poke around, and it does seem like there's smoke to that fire, but everyone's keeping their lips very, very, very sealed at the moment. I have two questions. A, is it real or is it exhibition? Is it a pro bout or exhibition? I hope it's a pro bout. Exhibition does take some luster away. Second question would be, and I would throw this out to the group and wait for their answer in a moment, is an exhibition against Tyson better than a regular fight against a Chisora or a White, which probably isn't happening, or some lesser heavyweight? I say yes. 1 second on your response. Third, all those people that said Francis bottled it, if he ends up getting a Tyson fight, exhibition or not, do you still say he bottled it? Or will you admit that you maybe jumped the gun and were a little too quick to write the guy off? And so let's go back to the second question. I say, even if it is an exhibition, and for the record, I would prefer it not be one. What the hell is that? Like, let's see the real fight. Just like we saw May Mac be a real fight. Even if it is an exhibition, to me, it's still more intriguing than Francis versus some no-namer. Agree or disagree, New York Rick?
100% agree. Yeah.
GC?
I've no interest in Francis versus no-namer because I actually think he'll lose to the no-namer, and that sucks, like, as an outcome. A loss to Tyson Fury doesn't kill your boxing chances. It just kind of resets the equation. So, yeah, big time would rather see that.
Okay, we're in agreement there. What about you, GC?
And we're talking like absolute like no-namer that like it gets announced and we're just like, I don't know who that is.
Honestly, no-namer or lower level, like I said, like a
Chisora or something. If it's an exhibition and there's like no knockdowns and it just doesn't even really feel like a full fight, it just kind of feels like they're going out and sparring, I would rather see the Chisora fight.
You would rather see the Chisora fight because it would just be a legit fight and may the best man win.
Yes, like when I saw this announcement that it would be an exhibition and there's no knockdowns and whatever other rule stipulations would come with it, immediately my interest took a hit.
Okay, that's fair. That's totally fair, and I can guess that a lot of people are going to say that, and that leads us to the second question. If it ends up being an exhibition, and by the way, at this moment I don't know, but I mean, why would Eddie get that wrong? I don't know. Maybe he's trying to screw things up. At this point, if it ends up being Tyson, but it's an exhibition, will people still say that he bottled it?
I think it depends on the payday. It all depends on the payday.
I mean, it's still
and the rules. Like, is it like an exhibition? Like, are they really just going to go out there and just like let it go? But if Tyson Fury loses, it doesn't count.
I don't understand this. The exhibition only favors Tyson in the sense that, like, Floyd does these exhibitions because he wants to keep his record intact, right? The perfect record. What is Tyson Fury afraid that he's going to lose to Francis that bad? Like, what is that? Why exhibition? I don't understand that.
But neither is Floyd Mayweather afraid that he's going to lose to John Gotti III or God knows who he fought before that.
He could slip on the banana.
Yeah, so 15. That's it. So that's the same thing for Tyson. He's in his prime right now.
Tyson Fury could much more slip on a banana peel to Francis Ngannou than
Mayweather
could to John Gotti.
But
that
Floyd
matters
did
a lot more to Francis.
But Floyd did do the one against Conor. And the 50-0 one, like he did the big one.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that was the last one he did.
All right, so give us one. Give us Tyson versus Francis.
No, Tyson is not on the way out. Tyson is firmly in his prime right now, fighting guys who are championship level. I understand it from Tyson's perspective. Obviously, if I'm Ngannou and team, I'll be pushing for it not to be, like, no doubt in my mind. But I understand why Tyson Fury would prefer an exhibition. Makes a lot of sense.
Take some luster away. I'm all in. I would love it. And give me Tyson versus Francis exhibition over Francis versus anyone, who's not in the top 5 or whatever. But I
It definitely takes some steam away from it. You're going to tell me you're going to get two of the biggest names at heavyweight into a ring and one of the biggest power punchers to ever fight in MMA, and we're not going to be able to see any knockdowns?
We've seen these exhibitions, and except for cases where like Floyd Mayweather is toying with people, they tend to turn into fights. They tend to just basically turn into fights.
Like Gotti and
but that was turning into a fight, right? I know. The only reason that kind of played out that way was because Floyd Mayweather is just so much better than John Gotti that he could literally like look into the crowd and do whatever he wants. That's a skill gap, but it turns into a fight. It ends up kind of inevitably being a fight. And I'm okay with Francis Ngannou versus Tyson Fury.
If it ends up being an exhibition, I still think people will find a reason to complain and be like, he left the UFC for this. He left.
But what if the payday is massive? Then what's
they're going to find something.
15 million or something.
They're going to find something to show.
Do an exhibition, yeah. But
I mean, God bless him. God bless him. What more could you want? If he gets an exhibition and he gets a massive 15, 20, $25 million payday, the man has won the game. There's no doubt about it.
Especially when, like a month ago, it seemed like he was completely on the outside looking in, right? It seemed like
this is boxing.
Yeah,
it just seems like so much to pay for an exhibition.
Well,
I mean, they're hoping that it'll generate. Yeah, I mean, I definitely understand why people will be cooled off by exhibition. No doubt. I'm not stupid. I understand it. But to your point, like, I'd rather see this than like him fighting somebody that you're not going to buy the fight anyway. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Well, why would I buy Francis Ngannou versus X random fighter that I don't buy even when it's not Francis Ngannou? Why do I care?
All right. Next up, Debo. Shalom, Ariel. Just wondering how your experience was in England at Money in the Bank. Have you noticed any changes since Endeavor purchased WWE? Does it seem like the wrestlers like the change? I think it's too soon. I think the biggest change is Vince is a lot more in charge or in the mix, has a say. There was a period where he had no say. Now he definitely has a say. I don't think he is as present, but I think he has a say from back home. So that is a big change. I don't think there's a lot. The Endeavor thing isn't done just yet, and so there's not so much that can happen. We remember when Endeavor purchased UFC, took some time, and then around October, so they purchased it in July, took some time, then in October you saw some layoffs. Hope the same thing doesn't happen, but you never know when it comes to these mergers. This one isn't quite done just yet. It was announced in April that was the plan, and so if it gets done in the next few months, then we'll see what happens. And of course, this one is a lot more complex because they're bringing the two entities together and spinning it off into this TKO entity, which will then become a public company. So there's a lot more at play here. But my overall experience was great. I thought it was a tremendous card. GC actually put a little lumber on Money in the Bank and still, correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't know what happened, right?
Still no clue.
By the way, why did it seem like you were running somewhere and then like, where did you go?
A weird sound.
We're hearing a weird noise back here, and we're trying to figure out if it's my computer or not.
Oh, weird.
I don't think it is. So yeah,
all
I
right,
still have no clue, no idea of the results.
Well, I told you Logan was the lock, right? It came down to Logan and LA Knight.
And then we were going to take the non-Roman, the Usos.
Yes. So unfortunately, in a surprise to me, neither Logan nor LA Knight won. LA Knight not winning was a very predictable thing in my opinion because I don't think they were going to go that deep with him thus far. I thought Logan was going to win. Actually, there was a period where there was a spot where Logan was on the ropes with Ricochet, and it didn't seem like he had his bearings. And then they went through a table, and it legit looked like he broke his neck. I don't know if you saw that floating around, but I was very concerned for him.
I might have seen that.
Those like ladder matches and all that are very scary. I did reach out to him afterwards and ask him if he was okay, and he said he was okay. But like that was super scary. Like he went head first. Anyway. It ended up being Damian Priest, who I think was a bit of a dog.
Oh, I had to have been a big dog because LA Knight was like a minus 400.
Yeah,
to win.
So a little bit of a surprise there.
Shout out to Damian Priest.
Damian Priest, Pride of Puerto Rico. Not sure if I agree with that one, but good guy, and they're running with this. Eventually Judgment Day is gonna fizzle and all this stuff. We didn't do. Did we do anything on the women's Money in the Bank? Because all week I was saying Io Sky was going to win. Did we do anything or no? We should have.
No, I don't think so. I think we just decided on Logan Paul and the Usos.
Okay, well the Usos did win.
Let's
so congratulations.
Let's go. I actually didn't end up placing any of the bets. I forgot.
For fuck's sake. Well, all right. So
I would have known the results had I placed the bets.
Yeah, I was surprised that you didn't know. I thought you did place a bet, but that makes sense. You were out in Miami, so who could be bothered, truly. But I will say I was a little bit wrong on that one because I thought that the reason why the Usos were going to win is because they were going to pin Solo Sikoa so that Roman Reigns' streak of not being pinned almost 4 years now would continue. And in the end, he put him over. He got pinned clean, so that was a bit of a shocker. Overall, fun event. I really enjoyed the women's Money in the Bank match, especially the finish. Becky and Bayley were handcuffed. John Cena making a surprise appearance was fun. Crowd was super hot. They were chanting all kinds of crazy, like soccer chants. And luckily, I was with a lot of Brits who were explaining me the chants because I didn't understand what the hell was going on. Like, there's one funny one where there's like a car song and a commercial, and they sing it at different matches, but I think it's like a West Ham thing, and we're close to West Ham where O2 is. And so there's a player there, and they all start singing, I sold my car to some guy with a name like that, like the song like da na 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 da na 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 da na na na. You know that song? Anyway, in the middle of the men's Money in the Bank, they were singing, I sold my car to Santos Escobar. And I was like, what is going on here? What are they singing? And then they explained to me the backstory there. So that was really fun. Yeah, all the matches were fun. The crowd was great. Being in England was great. Did a live show on, I did a show on Friday with Akin Fenway, who has the record for the highest strength in FIFA history. A former soccer player who has the record for like the strongest player in FIFA video game history. That's kind of a cool thing. So that was fun. Didn't go to sleep on Saturday night. Went straight to the airport. That was not so fun. Yeah. Other than that, it was good times.
That's exciting.
Yeah. But I did enjoy it, and I love going over there, and everyone's so nice. Moderator Lewis jumping in. Ariel and the best crew in town. Fresh off a stellar visit to the UK, welcome back. I have something very important to bring to the table. On Thursday, June 29th, you were interviewed by IFL TV. A tremendous chat covering the hot topics in the world of boxing. On closing this interview, you said the following. GC may have the footage. Do you have the footage?
Yeah, let's go ahead and run it.
Do you really?
By the way, I just want to say that this video is definitely going to get more views than Eddie Hearn video, and also definitely any Gareth A. Davies video. And if it doesn't, I am going to retire from talking about boxing for the rest of my life.
Wow. Holy shit. By the way, I didn't know that you had that clip.
Just rolled microphones for you.
Yeah, we've got it. We also do have the updated views count. Here,
oh, fuck. Okay, I'm afraid to keep reading. This video is definitely going to get more views than anybody. You just heard it. If we review the tape, Eddie's video released the same day has 160% more views, 82K.
Yeah, we have it right here, yeah.
What?
Yeah, about 9,500.
Wow, I got less than Gareth?
Yeah, Gareth A. Davies, 11K, unfortunately. And then Eddie Hearn, all of these 5 days ago, by the way, and then Eddie Hearn, 92,000. About 10 times.
Oh, well, look at that. I mean, look at that thumbnail. Look at that thumbnail.
That is a good thumbnail.
It's a shocked face. Look at my thumbnail. Go back to my thumbnail.
I mean, you look.
Mine is
angry.
just like I'm doing like what is that?
You're waving someone directions to the bathroom.
You both look pretty energized. I also have to say, I love I'm bleep sick and tired of Fury, and then yours is I'm so bleep.
And I you know what? I don't even know. I don't even know if I actually said that. Did I say I'm so bleeping tired? I don't even know if I said that.
Do you see the little quotes?
I don't know.
That means you said it.
No, I don't even know if I said that. And so there's a part of me that feels.
In that video?
What's that?
Your voice sounded like I may have exported that wrong. It almost sounded like your voice was like partially in slow motion. Sorry, continue.
Well, I feel a bit betrayed here from both you and moderator Lewis because I thought you guys would have my back and say X, Y, and Z, but I am actually reading. The fact that we're bringing this up and highlighting it makes me feel a certain way, but he does, save the situation by stating this. It's clear to me that your foray in the world of boxing is being suppressed. The algorithm is denying you the opportunity to conquer a third sport. Much love and happy birthday week. So, I don't know. It feels like I'm being a little bit played here.
I just did what the boss man told me to do.
Who's the boss man? Moderator Lewis? He's calling shots here?
Moderator Lewis, hit me up, man. I told all them. I just do what the man says.
What in the world?
No resistance for Lewis.
By the way, 100%, it's the algorithm. My interviews, then Gareth, Eddie, I was kind of joking.
Yeah, we want to talk about the thumbnails. Gareth is just him holding a Diet Coke. He didn't know favors were done for him.
I got to the building on Thursday morning, completely jet lagged. Gareth walks up to me with his fucking iPhone. And he's like, man, my fucking thing was on this whole time.
And then you complain about the battery being dead.
He's like, let's do an interview right now. Let's do an interview. I'm like, Gareth, can you just give me a second? It's like 3 o'clock in the morning. Do we have to do this? Follows me into the elevator and is asking me a bunch of questions. I'm actually really shocked that I did less. I bet you I bet you the comments on my video are more positive than Gareth's comments. That's for sure.
We have that too.
Right.
Stop
I'll
it.
go ahead and start.
I can't. You know what? I feel. Moderator Lewis texted me that he had a really good question for this week, and I was excited. Now I feel a little bit betrayed. I'm not gonna lie. I feel betrayed. I feel like you guys are trying. I hear enough stick to MMA nonsense when I've forgotten more about the sweet science than any of these jabrones will ever know. And now I get this from you guys.
You're saying you guys. This is all moderator Lewis.
You seem very excited to show the footage.
I hadn't even seen the footage before we played it.
Proves, by the way, that I don't even read the questions in advance because I never would have let this one slide. This is why I have a moderator, to embarrass me on my own show.
He was nervous on whether you'd let it go or not.
I wouldn't have. I'll tell you that much. I would not have.
I think that's going to be heartbreaking for him to find out.
We move along. Andre Toth. Hi, Ariel. Andre from Hamilton, Ontario here. Just wondering how many pay-per-view points or how pay-per-view points would work for the upcoming bout between Alexa Grasso and Valentina Shevchenko. Yes, it was announced last week. September. I love this idea, by the way. Clip this one off. We're being very positive on today's show. So for everyone who's like, oh, you hate the UFC. Oh, you're obsessed with hating on it. It's laughable because all we do is shower them with praise constantly. Like this, I shower them with praise. September 16th, brilliant fight night at T-Mobile, Mexican Independence Day weekend. Only thing better would be if it was happening in Mexico, but they beat Canelo to the punch apparently, and Canelo's now fighting September 30th against Jamal Charlo, which was a surprise to some in that world, the ones who are on the beat. Not me, because I'm way more entrenched. But this is fun because it's a fight night, and it seems like they're putting a lot of, Latina fighters on the card. And I love this. Kelvin Gastelum on the card, Tracy Cortez on the card. Now, I don't know if we're going to get Brandon Moreno or Yair Rodriguez, but this is fun. As for the question, why, about the pay, everyone's different, and sometimes they may offset it and say, hey, you're fighting on a fight night, we'll give you a little bit more to offset. And oh, by the way, some champions don't get pay-per-view points. DJ didn't get for a minute. Stipe didn't get for a minute. So it can go either way. I think for someone like Alexa to fight on an international, like a big event like that and be the headline and for her country, this is a big deal. Again, the best scenario would be her fighting in Mexico. This is the closest thing. So it seems like she would be okay with it. And then, of course, if that was a pay-per-view, I don't know if it's getting a ton. Now, if it's the co-main of a huge card like a Jones or a Conor, maybe it's getting more. I'd like to think that she looked at all the scenarios and determined that this would be a good thing for her in her career. Finally, have noticed that you haven't been doing the darts lately. Would love a darts rematch between yourself and the guys. Frank in a mysterious mask, of course. Take care. Yeah, you just kind of have to feel out the situations, and recently it hasn't felt like it was, I don't know, apropos. But we still have it. We'll still, do it. It's just, when we had Izzy and stuff short on time, and then we had the back-to-backs, and I don't know, you go through moods. That's all. Mike A, hey Ariel, any update on Jamal versus Jiri? Feel like things have been silent for a bit. If Jiri isn't recovered from his injury, who would likely be the next person in line to fight for the belt? I think they really want it to be Jiri, and I suspect it happens in this fourth quarter. But as you can see, a lot of champions need fights, and they're putting Alexa on a fight night. So let's see what happens. Maybe Abu Dhabi would be weird for Sydney, or maybe wait for New York. Tough one, but I suspect it happens in this fourth quarter. It's tough, though, because Jamal won his belt in January, and he will have not fought for, 10, 11, 12 months, and he was healthy. Shitty situation. On an unrelated pro wrestling note, if you could pick 4 current wrestlers from any promotion to be the cornerstones of a new company for the next decade, who would you pick and why? Thanks, and shout out to the crew. Wow, what a tough one. Well, I guess you have to go with Roman Reigns. I would put MJF in that mix. That's a really tough one. Four current. I mean, Cody's a really big star right now. I'd probably put him as well. And then should I put an up-and-comer? Maybe a Gunther. Gunther's really good. I feel like I'm forgetting someone right now. Sammy. People love Sammy. Can do a little bit of everything. I'll go Roman, Sammy, MJF. Who was the fourth? There was someone else that I mentioned. Roman, Sammy, MJF. I just mentioned someone and I forget who it was. Anyone remember? You guys all checked out? Roman, maybe, was it Gunther maybe? Roman, Sammy, Gunther, MJF?
Sounds right to me.
Yeah. Oh, Cody.
No.
Yeah. Roman. I'm going to go 5. Roman, Sammy, Gunther, MJF, Cody. That's what I'm going to go with. It's a good question. Tough one. Wrestling's on fire. Wrestling's on fire. Dun, 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 dun. Wrestling's on fire. Ben P. Hello, Ariel. 2 quick ones, if I may. If Robert Whittaker beats DDP, do you think he is next in line for the title shot, or do you think the UFC might go with Sean Strickland? Depends on if he's healthy. If he is healthy, I say they go with him. Sydney makes all the sense in the world. Sean is also much more likely for the quick turnaround. Yes, if he's banged up, they go with Sean. Also, just wondered if you've heard anything regarding a Leon Edwards fight date. The only month available seems to be September. Is that the likely date for Leon versus Colby? No, that's another one. Where does it fit? Sydney? Weird. Putting him with Izzy? Weird. I mean, not weird, but that's a stacked Sydney pay-per-view. Do they create a date? Do they put him in Abu Dhabi? Weird. Colby and MSG makes a lot more sense. That's kind of where I think it goes. A lot of Brits here. That's where I would do it. MSG. New York, Colby, America's champ against the Brit. Like it. Hello, Ariel. Thoughts on UFC London from Ali Wild Dash. O2 is usually rocking, as it was last Saturday for MITB. Hell yeah, it was. That was an incredible crowd. However, with it struggling to sell in high ticket prices, which has just been reduced, it feels like this is going to bomb. Yeah, I mean, the last few cards have been great. This one is not stacked. And I really do think that they went back to the O2 well too many times. If they were going to Manchester, if they were going to Nottingham, if they were going to, I know they can't go to Liverpool because of the weird Marks and Spencer renaming the arena nonsense. I think they went to O2 too many times. And I know that's the epicenter. But if you're bringing great cards and then you come back with a lesser card, it's going to struggle to sell. Plus, the ticket prices are insane. Right now, Tommy Aspinall against Marcin Tybura is a fine main event. It's equal to the other main events that we had. But there is no denying that the rest of the card isn't the same. The second to last fight is Molly McCann against Julia Stolarenko. Not the typical co-main for these cards. Jai Herbert against Fares Ziam, Lerone Murphy against Joshua Kulibau, Nathaniel Wood against Andre Fili. Very fun fight. Andre Muniz against Paul Craig. Michael Parkin against Jamal Pogues. Davey Grant on the card. Mark J. Casey against Joel Alvarez. Very fine fight. Chris Duncan against Yanala Shmooz, our boy. Danny Roberts against Johnny Parsons. Caitlin Vieira against Pani Kianzad. Brian Barberina is on the card as well. But it is Shauna Bannon of Ireland making her debut. It's a fine European card. It's just not the level that we've gotten at these London cards in the past. So, it's a lesson learned. They went back to the well, and I think, you go back so many times and you come back with maybe a thinner card, it's going to struggle. Now, I'm sure it's going to do great ticket prices, and the gate is going to be great, and they're going to say it's a sell and all that, but there's no denying that the talent, a lot of those guys are missing this time around. I think if they would have gone to a Newcastle, something like that, they would have been just fine. That's the type of card that it is, but they're going back to the O2. Hut, hey Ariel, I was so hyped to have the Motown Phenom back in the Octagon, but that did not go. Oh, good one. The way I was hoping. Yeah, that's a tough one. He always looks so great in the lead up and seems to ooze machismo. R.I.P. Scott Hall. But man, did you see Kevin Lee, age 30, being contender at welterweight? Was coming back to the UFC a mistake. Where are his best fights if he went elsewhere? Thanks, everyone. That's just a tough fight. And really a no upside fight for him. I'm surprised he took it. Maybe that was the only fight that he could take. Maybe that was the only stipulation because not a big name, super, super tough, at the apex, no buzz. I would have thought that they would have given him someone a little bit older so that he could get back on track. But his relationship with the brass has always been a little bit weird. And of course, he was a casualty of the CAA war with the UFC. But he's now being represented by Dominance, so I thought maybe he'd get a more favorable matchup, but maybe that's all he could get in his return. I suspect he gets another, at least one more, but I thought from the get-go that was a very weird fight to get in his return and a weird setting as well. And yeah, just a tough go for him. Hi, Ariel. Wanted to get your general thoughts on the ESPN layoffs, but I'd also specifically like to hear your thoughts on Max Kellerman. In the HBO boxing glory days, I tuned in for the Jim Lampley, Larry Merchant, and Max Kellerman banter as much as I did for the fights. You and everyone else. It was tremendous. It seems like his setup at ESPN, post First Take, really hurt his stock. However, I would think that Matchroom / DAZN or Showtime would be all over trying to get him on their broadcasts. It's a ruthless, challenging world out there for personalities and broadcasters, which is why I'd love your take on what you think he should do or what you might advise him to do next. I mean, he needs no advice from me. He has had a tremendous career, a legendary career. And I used to tell people like, oh, Max, he is to boxing what I want to be to MMA. And of course, the story I always tell is, I told my parents I want to be the Howard Cosell of MMA, but he was kind of the new age version where he was the third man in the booth and would, give his thoughts and would paint the picture and tell the story. And yes, would talk a little bit about the technical aspects of the game, but a lot of it was about, the stories and the divisions and the contendership and rankings and all that stuff. I was always surprised when HBO said goodbye to boxing a few years ago and he was at ESPN and ESPN had the Top Rank deal that he wasn't a greater fixture on those broadcasts. I don't know why. But I was always surprised that he didn't do more. Now, I know he had his own boxing show, but that was like a Friday afternoon studio show, I think it was. I think he would have been a huge asset to those broadcasts in the booth, at the desk, etc. For me, I like him best in the booth. Boxing's in an interesting spot. I think it's having its best year in a very long time. But, who knows how many outlets are going to be left airing big boxing events. So we have, ESPN has the Top Rank deal, which is coming up fairly soon, and who knows what it's going to look like when and if they renew. But he's not going to go back there. And then you have Showtime, and then you have DAZN. And what am I missing? Am I missing another, or is it just Showtime and DAZN at this point? I'm definitely missing another. What am I missing? Or am I not missing another? New York Rick, am I missing another?
He says no.
Fox doesn't have it anymore. CBS doesn't have it anymore. NBC doesn't have it anymore. Yeah. So we're down to 2. I mean, obviously there's Sky Sports in the UK. There's BT, soon to be TNT, but he's not going to do that. And so I wonder what he does. He had the great run on First Take, then went on the radio. And Max Kellerman's in his 50s, I believe, at this point. Maybe he just wants a break. Was doing morning radio for a long time, was doing it in LA. Had the long run at ESPN this time around. He's been doing this for a very long time. Wouldn't be surprised if he takes a break, and wouldn't be surprised if he shows up on, a Showtime or DAZN. They have their teams. Who wouldn't want him as an asset of sorts? But I think the best use of him is on the broadcast as opposed to like a studio show or something like that. Maybe he gets in the podcast game, but it seemed like at ESPN they weren't using him on boxing as much as I thought they should have. And it would be great to see him back on the broadcasts. Overall, though, my heart goes out to everyone who was let go, laid off. Some really great people. Jeff Van Gundy shocked me. I think he's the best basketball analyst in the world. And I think that team is tremendous. And if they add a Doc Rivers or a Doris Burke, they're tremendous as well. I'm big fans of them on TV, and I know Doris a little bit from working with her, and she's salt of the earth, unbelievable person. But Jeff is Jeff. That was surprising. Jalen Rose, I know had been there a while, but a fixture. And so many. I was very surprised Ashley Brewer was let go. Relatively new, very talented. Week of her wedding. That's a bummer. I know GC, you worked with her too, right? Big MMA fan. You worked with her on radio.
Oh yeah, she hopped on radio every once in a while.
That one shocked me.
Jordan Cornette, he was on ACC Network and radio. Jason Fitz, he was on radio.
Fitz is an unbelievable guy. What a nice guy.
Salt of the earth, that is him.
Seriously, one of the nicest people I met at ESPN.
Sam, yeah, I worked with him very closely through the pandemic and everything.
Does anything, no ego?
No ego at all. First Take, Your Take, that was the show we worked on him.
Oh, you worked on that?
Shout out.
Wow.
Shout out. Yeah, he was a trooper going through that. I mean, nicest guy in the business, for real.
There's some other ones. Gene Wojciechowski, right?
Oh, yeah, hockey?
No, he's college. Keyshawn Johnson, Susie Colbert,
Keyshawn.
legend Susie Colbert.
Crazy.
Matt Hasselbeck, Steve Young.
Todd McShay,
Neil Everett, June Lee, great guy. LaFonso Ellis was one of the nicest people. Came up to me one time in the cafeteria. I was like, "You're LaFonso Ellis, Denver Nuggets, Notre Dame." Big fight fan as well. That was very surprising. Yeah, so real bummer.
Sad day.
Very sad day. It sucks. I wish them all the best, and hopefully everyone is able to land on their feet and level up. Something better, something more rewarding, and hope they all make a gazillion dollars in doing so. I do wish them the best. Let's go to Conieta. What's the crack, Arrow? Lately, I've been feeling divisions are getting too clogged, either from contenders skipping the line or fights taking their time to materialize. For me, the worst division is welterweight. Khamzat, Shavkat, Bilal, and we could even throw Gilbert in the mix, are all more deserving of a shot than Colby. Yes, we've talked about this ad nauseum. So what division do you think is the most clogged? Which rankings have the most unnecessary contender matchups going on? Who's the most deserving contender at the back of the line? My first question. Thought I would get greedy. Dohara as Erin Conieta. I think that's Irish. Or Gaelic, I should say. Please don't roast me for getting that wrong. Yeah, I think welterweight might be the answer to your query, my friend. Off the top of my head, that one's pretty clogged because of the Colby conundrum. I wouldn't say flyweight is clogged. Bantamweight is pretty clogged these days. But no, it seems to be moving along, especially with Aljo coming back. And by the way, I tweeted this and people got really mad. Boy, do they get mad when you talk about Aljo. Is Aljo going to get his apology? And people were asking, what do you mean by that? What apology? What are you talking about? What I meant by that was Dana White showing up at the press conference a week after he fights is like, could you believe who called me? Henry Cejudo called me and said, I'll fight. If this guy doesn't want to fight, I'll fight. And here you are smearing the good name of your champion who's headlining your event in Boston. and only to put public pressure on him, saying that the guy that he beat fair and square a week prior is ready to go. And trying to, what he was really trying to do was saying like, hey, Aljo, if you fuck around, you're about to find out we're going to do a title fight without you. Just to let you know, we got Henry ready to go. That's what that was. And now Henry, no fault of his own, gets injured. And now he's not even available to fight on August 19th. And Aljo is showing up. You don't think that deserves an apology? You don't think the way they've treated this guy deserves an apology? Forcing him to get back in there 3 months after he fought in a grueling 25-minute fight against an Olympic gold medalist and former 2-division champion, has to get right back in there? Come on. And there's some champions like Jamal Hill who haven't fought since January. Well, like, come on. You don't think this guy deserves an apology? You guys are crazy. Featherweight, not clogged. Lightweight, not really. Might be in the mix. Welterweight for sure. Middleweight, not really, because Izzy's fought most of these guys. Light heavyweight, I wouldn't say. Women's flyweight, which is getting even more interesting with Rose coming into the mix. But no, I'd say you're right. Welterweight. Chris, last one. Hi, Ariel and team. I thought the whole topic on etiquette last week was fascinating. When doing the show daily, is there an etiquette you all have? For example, does GC have a certain way to approach studio guests? Does Ariel consult with the team about getting a potential guest on the show? I would love to know etiquette that Mysterious Frank and Rick have too. Thanks for the countless hours of entertainment. You've helped me through many periods of my life. Forever grateful. Thank you very much, Chris. That's very nice of you. As far as the guests go, sometimes I will ask the guys if they have any ideas for guests, but...
And sometimes when we suggest them without you asking, it's not received well.
Yeah, well, that just feels like you're trying to put pressure on me, and I have enough pressure on my shoulders, all right? Sometimes I'll ask you what you think of a potential guest, like should we get, or should I say yes, or things like that. As far as other etiquette, everyone knows not to talk to Frank between the hours of like 9 and 12:30 because that's like your me time.
Exactly.
I think GC, you like to take photos with the in-studio guests, fists up.
Oh, gotta throw the fist up. I mean, that's all a vibe situation, though. Feel them out.
Sometimes you don't ask. Is there one that you didn't ask that you regret not asking?
Nah. I don't know. And almost all of them have been like incredibly nice.
What are they gonna say?
How many fighters are watching right now and they're like, I'm not going to that studio?
What do you mean?
If GC's asking them all for photos.
No, they love it.
It's always very polite. It's always very quick, too. Very quick.
Very quick, yeah.
I've usually also chatted them up beforehand, Let them in, got them a drink, a coffee, gave them the whole hospitality.
Frank might have some etiquette situations with the microphone, right? Like,
yeah.
I feel like sometimes you've been placed in some pretty tough spots with the microphones based on what they're wearing. Like, Paulo shirtless.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Shirtless.
Wasn't there one? Who's the one?
The one that you gave me shit about.
Who was that?
I'm not happy about is McGregor. Like, if you had saw me, like I was stretching
between
people. It could not be.
It was so sloppy. That one was like hanging from his tie. I mean, you couldn't even hit it under the tie.
I couldn't even get his attention. Like, I'm just trying to fish it into his pocket while he's talking to 8 different people about how they have no time.
Wasn't there like a botched one with Becky Lynch? Wasn't like her jacket on top of it or something? What?
Yeah, she put a jacket on after I mic'd her up, and then it got muffled.
Oh, yeah, and then Frank had to come into the studio. That was great.
Do you actually keep a list of all these? Because I need to see that list.
What else? But like, what's your go-to? I always love when they're leaving and they're like, "All right, man, that was good," and Frank's
they
like,
try to leave with the microphone.
You're like, "Please come back." Yeah. I don't know. Does Rick have any old school stories from back in the day? I mean, we've had a lot of people.
No,
that's all I'd say.
No.
Here I am frantically looking around like, why is he not getting audio? What's going on?
I did tell Jorge that he had never been to studio, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot he was in studio. That famous sucker punch one. Remember that?
Yeah, that was a great interview.
Yeah, but that was in the old studio, so it doesn't really count.
Yeah.
What
do you mean?
No, I'm kidding. Of course, it counts. No, it was great. I'm just saying. Actually, today was really good. He was naming some fighters on the upcoming card. I didn't know all of them, so I was trying to like. I think he said Brandon Davis, who's a former UFC fighter. Is that the same Brandon Davis?
He did.
Yeah.
Yep.
Any other etiquette things that you guys want to talk about? People liked the one that we talked about last week. In fact, I was put in that same situation later in the week where I'll tell you what, we went to Nando's, and all the UK guys, they love talking about their Nando's, and I've been pretty critical of Nando's because they like to put a flag in your chicken. We'll say I had it twice, back-to-back days, Thursday, Friday. It was a lot better. I don't know what it was the first time I had it. I mean, it was no gorgonzola on steak. Don't get me crazy, or don't get crazy. But it was much better. I still think the flag in the chicken is supremely weird, but we were in a bit of a rush. Everyone got their food except for me, and then I started stewing a little bit. And then finally went up and said, "Hey, is there any sign of my food?" And then it was just sitting there, like under the lights, and they forgot to bring it to me. Also,
did they forget, or they were changing the power switch for you?
The power switch?
Like from your laptop?
No. Oh, wow. That's tough. Also, by the way, on Monday, I went to a restaurant with my family, and we sat down at 6:30. By 8:10, we had still not received the food. Now, when you're with a young girl, like a 6-year-old who has not eaten by 8:10, she tends to freak out. And so I went to one of the guys, was like, "Hey man, my daughter's freaking out. Is it possible to get the salmon teriyaki that we ordered an hour and 40 minutes ago? Is it coming?" He's like, yes, it's coming. And then, because it's my birthday on Saturday, they asked for the cake, like when they do the surprise happy birthday. And then the guy whispers to me when he delivers the cake, "Hey man, it's an honor to give you a cake on your birthday. Big fan." And then I felt bad about being like, "Hey."
Sometimes the manager makes you wait.
I was like, man, an hour and 40 minutes?
That is a little weird. For salmon teriyaki, I mean, it was in and out, right?
Oh, the story gets worse. I don't want to bore you, but basically, I asked for the omakase. I thought it was going to be $80. It ended up being $245. I had no idea. It was a mess.
How much uni did you get?
It wasn't even, it was crazy. It was one of the craziest things in my life.
Anyway. I didn't get the invite, so maybe next year.
No, this was, we were away. We took a little, we were down in South Beach with the boys.